So I just want to make a quick video about certain things. Yeah, so I I was talking to this guy yesterday because I was paranoid that I made the wrong decision of telling this woman about yoga. I mean about like what's wrong with it, and because I believe there's things that are very concerning that people should know about. And she basically said that I'm dogmatic, or I have kind of like a dogmatic view about the situation, and that I'm boxing things in. When I don't see it like that, I see it like I have an accurate view on it that could save someone's life, their eternal soul. It's the things that they don't have access to. Because if you're only getting one side of it, yeah. So I was. That's kind of where I'm at, and I yeah, I was freaking out about it because I realized I was triggered because she said I was dogmatic. And when I was an atheist, I used to be an atheist, and I didn't like closed-minded people. I didn't like people that believed in God who were closed-minded, in my opinion. But I realized now that actually I was the closed-minded one because I'm not opening the possibility that God exists. And really, yeah, God in Jesus, that's a from the that's another realm. It's almost like another realm, invisible, ever. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, and I was just, and I'm new here. I'm like just a traveler, a desperate person going to another place, trying to maintain my authenticity in a world that's trying to rip it to shreds. It feels like my ability to just be myself. That's what I feel like the war is. Like, if, for instance, it's one thing to like dogmatic. If I hear about someone being dogmatic, I think of corrupt politicians. I think of corrupt organizations. Even the rank and file can be dogmatic. But I'm not. Which big organization do I go out of the way to help? One could say God has his kingdom. That's kind of like it's a nation, technically. If you look up the definition of kingdom, it's a it's also a it could be considered a country or a nation. But the thing is, how do you get into it where with someone who's dead set on not changing their mind? Because my intention was to plant a seed. So I don't know if that's effective right now. But I don't like, let me give you an example. What I'm not going to do is like stand outside of Murphy Center and start protesting and do sit-ins or something, that she's doing yoga. I'm not going to go tell my gang-banging friends that I don't even have, you know, hey, you know, kind of be a toxic person, about it. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just yeah, it feels like I'm overreacting according to the trauma that my family has abused me, pushed me around my whole life. And when someone tells me something I'm not, I overreact because I don't have thick skin. And anyways, so yeah, so that it just made me feel really bad because I don't support Catholics, Scientology. I see it for what it is. Horrible organizations that need to be exposed to the fullest. And it feels like she's like lumping me in with them. Like I'm against my dad so much for being a Jehovah Witness. I'm against everything Jehovah Witness. Yet it feels like she would tell me, that I'm dogmatic. And in a way, I Googled the word dogmatic to kind of be like against something, which in a way that's true. Don't I like I can't I should try to be as not partial as I can, even though I might have a human nature to do all kinds of stuff. You know, I'm just being real. I have a human nature to steal, all kinds of stuff, lie. My past is not a pretty thing. It's not a pretty picture. But I did try to improve, that should I say, but still, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. But that shouldn't like get in the way of like other certain things, like me. I don't know. I really don't know how it works. I'm just being honest. I don't know. But I guess I could say that I'm making an effort and to change the world in a positive way in my understanding. And I don't really know what to think about this. Where to go from here in terms of what to say. But I guess I'll skip around different parts. But yeah, so this woman, she said I'm dogmatic. And it really hurt me because I was affected from a dogmatic cult my whole life. Jesus Christ was facing the dogmatism of the Roman government, Pontius Pilate, the Pharisees, Judas that backstabbed him, you know, and that's who he, when did Jesus have a mansion or have some type of bully crowd to go and fight people? You see, it's not even accurate. He got the disciples. He had a rough time. Like, yeah, Peter jumped the gun and sliced off that guard's ear. Yeah, one time, I forgot who it was, but Jesus said, Satan entered into one of the disciples, and Jesus said, "Get behind me, Satan." But the fact is, Jesus didn't start. I just see it's unbalanced because Jesus didn't go up and try to contact the local government and say, "Hey, you know what? My father told me I can utilize all you know, your your sharp, cunning equipment." No, he stayed true to the nature of God, and he was homeless. He had a carpentry job, but then he was homeless. So it's like the mix of both worlds, right? Like the person that'll get a job that's wholesome, and then he had to do what he had to do to be homeless so he can know how to feel the pain of everyone. That's what he was, a savior. He was like a servant to us. And that's what I look up to. And when someone tells me, just because and I'm not used to this. I'm not used to feedback like this because I was abused as a kid, and it's like really weird. It's almost like a Twilight Zone version of a new Christian trying to plant seeds in people in this day and age, because just how it is, the political atmosphere, it's like stepping on a minefield in this time if you want to be yourself or try to do good. Because yeah, my intentions were just to tell her a little bit about what I believe, and I'll be honest, a lot of things came back flooding, bum rushed me of emotions about my past, about just being homeless and going to high school and having being around my family that hated me. It was a lot of like, I wonder if they're toxic and gossipy and trying to control me very subtly. Kind of feelings came up about like, what if she's like a toxic person that's just trying to get information so she can use it against me? those were, I don't know though, I don't know if that's really what's happening, or she had the kind nature to talk to me in the first place, and I should be grateful about that, and that I should just leave it alone and don't overthink. It would be less ideal to overthink. But the problem is, regardless of me just blabbering about this right now, practically, I was overthinking. At the end of the day, I overthink, and I was stepping on a minefield even of what I was wondering if I should call the person she works for, because I had input from two people saying that, kind of giving me a hint like, well, I think, if she's in a position of authority and she's making you feel bad, then maybe she's doing it to someone else. And then I had heard that from two other people because I was getting as much as opinions as I can. And yesterday, I talked to another person. You know what? This is strange. I'll go ahead and say this. This is the only thing I'm going to say. Orange shoes. That's all I'm going to say. Orange shoes. Okay? And it's a weird, new way of making sure that you're not going to get hurt. But yeah, I'm not going to tell you his name, more than that. But, so I, I'm imperfect to remember that. So, yeah, let me ask you this: is if someone's getting beaten and dragged around the corner to get raped, should they be quiet? Should they learn some manners? Should they not step in eggshells and just be, hey, you're interrupting us. Please stop. Stop making this noise, saying that I have orange shoes and that I work in a homeless shelter. No, I'm gonna scream. That's just the end of the story. There's no, I'm not gonna be sitting here trying to make a circus. I don't have the means. I don't, I'm not gonna start juggling and doing mime tricks or anything. No, you know, you can call me a heathen. You can do all kinds of stuff. I mean, this is what I'm thinking about it. Maybe it's the wrong timing to say that. But what can I do? Can I breathe? Can I wake up and look around? Maybe I can. I just feel kind of like I'm too up. It's too oppressive here. Like you ought not to. Thou shalt never. Tell me what to do. And it's just gotten out of hand of like what people are saying. Because yeah. So I was telling people about my situation with the orange shoe guy. I told him about, like, I just went into it. I poured all my heart out to him again. And I kind of have this way of doing things because of my mom. My mom told me, at one point, I think that they just want to get to know you a little bit more. When I was at my last homeless shelter in my hometown. And so I thought it was a generally good idea to talk to the staff members about what's going on for my safety, and so I don't hold it all in, basically. And so there's that aspect of it. But then the other part of it, I realized that this guy, we didn't see eye to eye on two things. He was even saying, but he was honest and he was kind of straightforward. I have to give him credit where credit's due, at least in my limited understanding. But yeah, so he what happened was, I couldn't hold it last night. I was like, you know what? I have to tell someone. I have to get this off my chest. And so I did. I told him, but I didn't tell her name. I didn't even tell him other certain details. And I was just telling him, that I freaked out and overreacted because I told someone about my beliefs and they were into yoga, and I tried to tell him. turns out he, I told him everything. I told him I used to be an anarchist. I told him basically the whole outline of my life to like lead up to this point where I would overreact or underreact or react in any way. Told him I was in a cult, the Jehovah's Witness cult. Told him at first I was against police, but then I was for them. So that's why I'm talking to him, because he worked as a front desk kind of person to overwatch the homeless people. And he's against police because he says he like drinks and he was addicted to drugs, I think, and but he was being honest that he's not balanced and he's not perfect. And so that I was kind of in my subconscious mind, I was thinking, wait, that means he's gonna be kind of biased because he said his girlfriend does yoga. She went to church and does yoga. But I was telling him, I was just telling him I was trying to be as careful in doing it most effectively as I can. And I think, if, considerably speaking, I don't know how, what's it worth, but I think I did a good job of kind of laying everything out. But some part of me was saying, oh, don't tell him, man. If he has those biases, it's not even worth it, because you're probably just going to give someone is going to be dead set to go against you, just like actually she is, the person I was talking to. So it's so confusing, right? Because actually what happened was he convinced me that I shouldn't tell the people that she works for, the woman that I'm talking about, that this all started. I shouldn't tell. I was originally gonna call the place and tell the staff members, because that's just how I was reacting. I was thinking, oh no, she's gonna do it to other people, and if one good person doesn't stand up against evil, then evil will keep on happening. And also, furthermore, the demons are influencing her because of the yoga invitation to, that type of spirituality. It's more like pressing on me, like, oh, wait a minute. She doesn't know what she's doing because she's inviting demons by her practices. So I need to do what's right. And, there needs to be some type of repercussions for her, possibly. But that's the thing. I could never understand her true heart when she said I was dogmatic. It was almost like I was thinking the possibilities are that she knows exactly where to hit me because I was an ex-JW and I first turned out an atheist, and then I would be against closed-minded people, and then now I believe in God, and I was telling her about God and Jesus, how Jesus' second coming is going to come and he's going to destroy all the evil, so don't you worry. But I didn't think it through, that she's into yoga, and so it's she's into a form of basically participating with the evil, because there's plenty of other evil, like corrupt governments, corrupt politicians, but it's really complicated then, isn't it? Because what do you do when a naive person that came out of a cult, a satanic cult, comes up and talks to someone who's participating in a satanic ritual of deity worship, and I have my good intentions, all nice and well, but at the same time, I don't understand like the basic elements of withholding information when I need to, or not speaking my whole mind all at once. We would live in an insane world if everyone started telling everyone, like we go start telling all the thieves and all the corrupt politicians, all the mafia mobsters, our deepest, darkest secrets, and where we might hide our children in case stuff hits the fan, you know what I mean? Just as a general rule of thumb, you don't want to give everyone all your information. Yet sometimes I feel like that's the only way, because my mom would actually would actually convince people would actually convince people to do that, for me to tell people that. Yeah, so that's what I would say about that. And well, I kind of lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was gonna say. Let's see what I was talking about. I was talking about, oh yeah, how it's okay. So the demonic aspect, it's hard for me to kind of, coming out of a cult, and all I had was how my parents rewired my brain to be completely naive and susceptible to, you know, talking to any stranger that offers me candy. It's something that keeps on coming to my mind because I've been abducted about 5 times so far, and then actually, yeah, I've been pretty much raped, kind of in a way coerced to do sexual things. I'll be honest, you know, and if I was healthy, I don't think that would have happened. If I had good enough parents, that would not have happened. So to me, that's the elephant in the room, that how bad off I was left to die. And I wonder who's needs to take accountability or kind of change their ways and stop being an enabler. That was the one thing on my mind for a long time was enabler, enabler. Who's the enabler? Because they have blood on their hands, the enabler. Even though they're not the ones doing the mule horse work, they're guilty by lack, negligence, and association in ways. It's the way it is. And because in life you have the codependents, you have the leaders, you have the broken drug addicts, you have the politicians, you have the people that go to college. You have all these types of people. You have the poverty type of people where they don't really get to fulfill their dreams and they're always stuck in this vicious cycle of poverty. That's just how it is. It's not black and white. Everyone ought to be the most capable person, and that's practical. That everyone just as a leader. This is not. It's not. You know, I'm. I for one, I have a lot of doubt, and I believe I'm like a codependent, and which I grew up in poverty, and it made it even worse because my parents were. It's one thing to grow up in poverty. It's another thing to grow up in a cult and have completely not good enough parents. They were just, my dad was a workaholic. My mom hit me, and she was she was the stronger, she was the bigger threat. So, yeah, that's what I was up against. And, so it's just, I forgot where I was at. So, I kind of wanted to make this video, and I'm actually late for doing my schoolwork. I gotta catch up a lot because I have a test coming up really shortly, and I'm kind of wondering if I'll make it. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video real quick. Okay. I'm trying to do get my GED all at once, and I feel like I'm very unprepared and kind of slacking. I kind of feel like I'm slacking and keeping up with homework and progress in that way, but hopefully it'll just, yeah, hopefully I can just do all the schoolwork and be ready for the GED. I realized something with the GED, that it's only, to me, I almost wonder if you can only get an education if you are not homeless. Only because in a homeless situation, you are constantly going from place to place, and they'll kick you out of somewhere. So is it like really equal opportunity? You know what I mean? Is it really, it's kind of like, it just makes it a lot harder if you had parents. For instance, I felt very insulted. I talked to my therapist about this, that when I was growing up, I had a nice house to live in, and yet it was only gonna serve my parents. I never knew that the dotted lines were, if you disagree with us beyond a reasonable way, beyond a reasonable, like, kind of way that you want to try to live your own life and be a free, autonomous human being, then we, the parents, have the right to start putting that in our subconscious and reacting accordingly, so that we can drive you off to homelessness and suicide. You know, if that is the consequence, then we, the parents, will double down on that free offer to get someone that doesn't, is not a robotic child off of our hands. If they're going to be a thorn on our side in any way, if they cough in the wrong time, in the middle of 3:30 p.m., then I've had enough, and you can go off and kill. Well, I tried to kill myself 5 times, so it's no longer a matter of, oh, there's a baby born in the world, how great and what a wonderful day it is. No, the kid's gonna have a freaking knife in his arm because the parents decided to have a kid. There's no more, oh, I'm so, it's all good, it's all good. No, and then I have to live. I had this analogy before, and it was, parents put the kid in a trophy case, and they put him out in front of the world, and that's the only way that the kid is allowed to live inside that trophy case. He can't have his own way. That's what it felt like me living in that house that they bought. Would it have been better if I just ran away? That's the sad part, that's the only options I have, right? It's either go along with living in a house with my parents because I don't know anything better. There's no person with a megaphone or someone came up to me, hey, you don't want to live with your parents? Just be homeless, man. That's the best way. Or, hey, I know it's hard for you because your parents are the way they are. I can see right through them. Let me tell you a little bit something about child suicide and depression. There's like a sad joke about anything like that. It's just, get up, go to school, go to the cult, and if you don't like it, then too bad, so sad, but I have to go to my job, so you make it nice and spiffy there, because I might lose a dime if I'm late. I might lose a little pretty penny to make me satisfy my workaholic lustful desires. I can go on and on and on. I didn't have it easy. I don't know how much I can explain that to the universe, And do I even need to prove myself? Am I just wasting my time? Or maybe because someone can learn from it. It just goes so much ways. I can literally spend an infinite amount of time on this. It feels like. But yeah, so I was trying to convince this person, and this floodgate of emotions came back. That my family abused me, and they minimized me, and they cast me out to die, and the world that wasn't really there for me. I almost froze to death in parking lots. All this stuff. Recently, my feet almost got frostbite when I was homeless. It's just, the list goes on and 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 on. I can't get a break. I can't get a freaking break, man. I mean, technically I do have a break. I'm in a warm place that they built, but still, these things shouldn't be thrown under the rug. The iniquity, the unbalanced weights of justice. There's no weights of justice for humans. I can't get any. That's something I realized, is I can't rely on man. I can't. They're all just out for themselves. I'm overwhelmed, and I got my family to feed, and it's just, this world is so cruel. And hey, good thing we're not like Arabic nation. Oh, it's like, come on, dude. It really, that's all we can get, in terms of help from man. But, maybe it's not a bad thing because then we'll rely more on God. But then at the same time, like, does God want man to be helping each other more than what we're doing? It's just, this goes on and on too. But do you see how complicated this is? This is my life in a nutshell. It's just the problems. And I don't do anything anymore like drugs or do anything like having bad relationships anymore to get more problems. I realize that that's a thing that if I don't like the problems, then maybe I should start rethinking what I'm involved with and what can go and what can stay. You know. So what went is drug addiction, any kind of addiction I had, bad habit. I had all kinds of bad habits, suicide, screaming at police, all kinds of stuff, drugs, video games, all kinds of stuff, dude. And so yeah, I'm just one of, so yeah, so this floodgate of emotions came back when it's like the wound was reopened when I said something to her and she said I was dogmatic. Here's a good one. It feels like that no matter what you tell someone, sometimes they'll just be like, you know what? This is why they say you're crazy. You've confirmed it. You've sealed the deal. Look at you. Of course, you're, what they say, this worthless, mentally ill, mentally deranged person. And I have to put up with you. We've had to be putting up with you for all this time. Only making it worse. That's just what it feels like. That's a possible way people can treat you here in the world constantly. And they can play like the hero, like, at the same time. It's so disgusting. You just don't know where it's really coming from, right? Some people are obviously being exposed right now on the world stage that are like that. But then what further, how can we remember it? We're already bombarded.